What's going on, guys? Lon here from Android Authority, and the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge was just announced at Mobile World Congress 2015, and it's another flagship smartphone that features curves along the display, so it only makes sense that we put it up against another flagship smartphone with a curved screen. This is the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge versus the LG G Flex 2. If you're looking for a high-end smartphone that pushes the boundaries in terms of design, your best bet is with these two smartphones, the Galaxy S6 Edge and the LG G Flex 2. On one hand, the G Flex 2 features a pronounced curve from top to bottom, allowing for a somewhat better handling experience, which is further helped by its more normal size compared to its predecessor. It does retain all the signature elements of any new LG flagships though, including the ultra-thin bezels up front and the unique placement of the volume and power button at the back, which is even better suited with the curve. Another Flex series feature available is the self-healing back that heals minor scratches in less than a minute and is always useful to have. Samsung experimented with a curved element on their displays with the non-starter that was the Galaxy Round, and then with the Note Edge with a curved side that allowed for some additional information and functionality without trespassing on the main display. Samsung has now taken that to the next level with the S6 Edge with curves on both sides of the display. The Edge introduces new features like the People Edge, information stream, night clock, and can even be utilized as a light bar of sorts for incoming notifications. Staples like the tactile home button up front do return, so there's no mistaking this device for anything other than a Samsung phone, but the premium look and feel does put this at a level where you'd expect to find a high-end smartphone of this caliber. A 5.5-inch screen on the G Flex 2 brings a higher resolution than before with its 1080p IPS screen. The brightness is quite great even in broad daylight, and the curve does make the experience a little bit more immersive. Colors do tend to have an adequate saturation to them, and this can be adjusted further in the settings. The S6 Edge, on the other hand, features a smaller 5.1-inch screen but with a higher Quad HD resolution. Super AMOLED offers deep blacks, vivid colors, great viewing angles, and a good amount of brightness at 600 nits on this particular display, with the two edges allowing for a very smooth and seamless swiping experience. Both are fantastic displays, but the S6 Edge is definitely the clear winner when it comes to overall pixel density. The G Flex 2 is the first widely available smartphone to feature the Snapdragon 810, coupled with the Adreno 430 and 2 or 3 GB of RAM depending on whether you pick 16 or 32 GB of storage. Many expected the performance to be off the charts, but that unfortunately didn't translate to real-world use, even if the blame might lie more within the software optimization as opposed to the capabilities of the processing package. Some of the issues seen with the 810 and the G Flex 2 could be one of the reasons why Samsung decided to pass on Qualcomm for their current flagships in favor of their in-house Exynos 7420 coupled with 3 GB of RAM. Performance is absolutely fantastic on this device, and the more streamlined iteration of TouchWiz is definitely a contributing factor. In both cases, the battery is not removable, and even though the battery on the S6 Edge is smaller, the Exynos is said to be more frugal in its power consumption, so battery life shouldn't be much of a concern. The G Flex 2 packs a 13 megapixel rear shooter with OIS Plus, and while it's still quite a capable smartphone camera, especially when outdoors, there were a few issues that showed up with indoor shots or those with bad lighting conditions, with an evident loss of detail and sharpness. OIS Plus did make a noticeable difference in keeping the shot steady, which was particularly helpful when shooting video. On the other hand, the S6 Edge features a 16 megapixel rear shooter with a setup similar to what is found on the Galaxy Note 4. The Note 4, as we know, featured one of the best smartphone cameras last year, and we can certainly expect a similar verdict with regards to the S6 Edge. The G Flex 2 runs Android 5.0, but in terms of the interface, it is definitely more LG GUI than Lollipop, with the major aesthetic changes only in the recent app screen and the notification dropdown. It does come with a lot of useful features, especially something like Not Code, but at least in the Asian version that was used for our review, the software was too cluttered and offered a less than ideal experience. Samsung has finally taken to heart what its consumers want and offered up a far lighter, streamlined version of TouchWiz on top of Lollipop. Lollipop aspects do make their way to the recent apps, notification dropdown, and lock screen, but for the most part, it is still TouchWiz without the clutter. Only a few features and apps are available pre-installed, with users now given the opportunity to install others if they choose to do so. And that about wraps it up for this quick comparison of the S6 Edge versus the G Flex 2, two curved display smartphones that are utilized in two completely different ways, and it's going to be up to you to decide which one is the better option. As always, guys, if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up down below and also subscribe to the channel, which is also down below. And once you're done with all of that, make sure to check out the website at androidauthority.com because we are your source for all things Android.